feel what happened with David Moyes was very, very significant yesterday. There was somebody in the comments who said, I think you're reading too much into this. And maybe, but do you know what? I don't think so. A lot of times I'll record a video, I press send, I put it up and upload it onto YouTube, and I don't really think much more about it. But last night, after I recorded the video about David Moyes, I found myself thinking about it more and more. And I was sat there and I was thinking, maybe this is the case. Maybe I should have said this. And thoughts kept on popping into my head. And I thought, well, hold on, perhaps I'm reading a lot into it, but he's leaving a lot there to be read. Now, I've got here a little transcript, which I'm going to read to you now. And all I would say to you is, are these the words of a man who is in a situation where he's looking to the future? These are David Moyes' words. He says, there will always be times at football clubs where you think you might need a change. At the moment, West Ham have probably been in one of the best places they've been in for a long time. I don't want to keep saying it because it sounds like I'm having to defend it, but the facts are there. He's talking about his record at West Ham, obviously. So there is a level where West Ham can go, and we need to find out where that is. But a manager's job is to raise expectations, and I think that's what we've done. Management has got tougher for a lot of managers. I'll make the decision at the end of the season when the time comes. You always know when you've got to the stage where you need a change, but at the moment, let's see. I mean, that's a really, really big comment. He said, what I have said is I will always honour my contracts. That's the one thing I will do. My contract is at the end of the season. The club have offered me a new deal. We'll wait and see how that goes. I'm going to see out my contract. That's basically what he's saying there. And I think when you factor it in with the talk about family, doing what I'll have a think about it. I'll do what's best for my family. David Moyes, I always look for differences in the way people are speaking. David Moyes is not a manager who's traditionally spoken about his family. He keeps that private. He keeps that to one side. The more I look at this, the more I think it is a resignation letter from David Moyes. This is him saying goodbye. I think he's justifying his time at the club in his statement, in what he's doing. But I think the rest is pretty clear-cut, really. When you start talking about finishing your contract, about seeing it to its end, when you start speaking historically, when you start talking about alluding to the fact you might have taken a club as far as you think it can go. Not as far as you think you can go, but as far as you think the club can go. This is all end talk for me. This is all resignation stuff, and I really do firmly believe that. But I'm interested to see how that plays out with the players, because, I mean, there'll be a lot of people that want David Moyes to leave. And you know what? I have become one of them. There's no doubt about that. But I think hearing that, I probably would quite like him to leave now, because that's not the kind of messaging that I want to hear. It's not good for West Ham. Look, I don't even think it's good for Moyes himself. He does not sound happy. I discussed this yesterday. But how's that going to translate to how he's communicating with the players? I don't know if you know this, but Saïd Benrahma scored yesterday. Scored for Olympique Lyonnais. Scored the winner against Metz. Since he's gone there, they've done a lot better. I'm not attributing their upturn in form to him. He's been benched for a lot of the time. He came off the bench and scored the winner yesterday, though. And before I'd done any research, and I was just reading the transcript of it, it said, Saïd Benrahma came off the bench, exchanged passes with the French under-21 player, begins with C, can't remember his name anyway, got the ball back, and anyway, it's in the report said he finished clinically. Well, okay, but that's not Saïd Benrahma, is it? Not the Saïd Benrahma we know, but there's certainly a lot of clinical finishing at Brentford, wasn't there? Then I started thinking about Pablo Fornals and how almost immediately he went to Betis and then he scored like a wonder goal, didn't he? And I think to score goals like that, you've got to have confidence. And I think I'm pretty safe ground, and I'm probably not going to get too many people disagreeing in the comments here if I say that both Saïd Benrahma and Pablo Fornals' confidence was shattered at West Ham. They left the club far less creative players than the ones that arrived. But it's only taken a month for them to be repaired. And when I say repaired, I mean their confidence repaired. And without going too much into that, so you've now got them sort of showcasing their skills. They're elaborating on the ball. They're they're being decisive. I think that's probably the word I was looking for there. And, you know, look, that has lots of different connotations, but what it means, how bad was it at West Ham? From an attacking player's point of view, or just maybe there was a heaviness. Maybe there was maybe they're just straitjacketed at West Ham. I think the point I'm trying to make here is, how's David Moyes going to lift players? Because I don't see much evidence that he's been lifting the players anyway. And when I read his comments and when I hear him in the press conference, there's a melancholy to his mood. So last night, Nick from Claret and Blues, he suggested to me, and he got me thinking. Honestly, I was thinking about this Moyes stuff all night, and he said to me, "Do you think that the?" And I hope I'm not speaking out of school there, Nick. I'm sure this is fine, but he said, "Do you think that was a front-loaded question? Do you think that Moyes was expecting the question?" And I hadn't given it much thought, actually. And I do look, when I looked at it, and I went and looked at the press conference again, and I listened to David Moyes' words, I do now think that journalist was possibly instructed to ask the question. Moyes was definitely ready for it. So once I was viewing it through that prism, if you like, I was looking at a manager who was ready for that question. It wasn't ordinarily Moyes would be spiky at such questions, but he was lucid, he was quick in his response. There was no agitation in his response at all. So I absolutely believe Moyes wanted to get that message out there yesterday. As I say, I think his message conveyed more of his emotion in his words than he wanted to. But I'm also quite adamant that the press officer wasn't aware that question was coming and that it was going to be answered in that way. I am under no doubt, and you can read between the lines here all you want, I am in no doubt that what David Moyes did yesterday was a surprise to the football club. So he's gone a bit maverick, hasn't he, really? He's gone a bit rogue on this one, actually. And I'm still quite undecided about what he's doing. I'm not entirely sure he's puffing his chest out and sort of proclaiming to the world how good he is. I think he does that anyway. That's different. He showed a level of awareness when he turned around and he said about West Ham sort of winning and doing well. By him saying, I don't want to keep saying it, he showed an awareness that he's been criticised for it. And he has. I mean, I was talking about it last week. Why does he keep saying this? Why does he keep reminding us about the Conference League win? We know. So there was awareness there. I know I keep saying it, but... So I'm not sure he's doing that again, because this time it was different. I'm not sure he's puffing his chest out and telling everybody how good he was. He does that anyway. As I say, there was a sort of solemnness to this. There was a finality to it. There was, I think he was letting everybody know, and I may keep changing my mind on this. The more I think about it and the more I hear his words, and he will say more words because he's going to stand in front of the cameras before the game as well. And the more I listen to it, the more I think, by him saying, I will see out my contract, it's double-barreled, isn't it? You're implying that there may not be a contract after that, even though he said there is one there, but he'll decide. So I think there's a control thing. We discussed that yesterday. But I think he's laying the groundwork for West Ham to sack him by letting it be known that he was happy to see out his contract for this season. I don't think David Moyes sees out the season now. I really don't. And whilst I said yesterday there were three options available to him, which were basically go on a winning run and finish the season strongly, qualify for Europe again, get a new contract. The other one was sort of every 5 games, every 3 games, pick up a win and we sort of stay where we are and he won't get offered a new deal. Or he's so bad in the next 3 games that he gets the sack. I'm struggling to see the former. I'm struggling to see where the good form is coming from. I'm struggling to see a man in that type of sort of downbeat mood being able to motivate a group of 21 players, whatever the squad is. I think that's hard anyway. I think that's quite a hard thing to do anyway. To even if everything's going hunky dory, right? I think to stand up in front of 20 odd grown men and try and impart your message, you get anyone, irrespective of football. I think you're probably going to need to carry some sort of level of authority to do it. But I think these are different circumstances because all those guys need a lift. because it's been the whatever. I know I keep saying the 3 games. I say the 3 games because it sounds, it's 11-0 aggregate, and it's sort of like a punchy thing to say, isn't it? But you could take any number of games. It's not been good for a little while now. So I think it's fair to say that let's say the squad are depressed, and you could understand why they would be. You've actually got to be better than your normal self. You've got to be more enthusiastic. You've got to be more effervescent. And I don't think David Moyes has got it in him. Because not only does the squad look broken mentally, I thought David Moyes looked broken mentally. And you know what? It's like that, isn't it? When you're feeling down, it's hard to lift yourself. Never mind lift everybody else with you as well. And I wonder if David Moyes has recognised that. I wonder if sort of David Moyes has sort of like looked into the eyes of the beast, and he's thought, I'm not sure I can do this. He will know. He will know the record. He'll know that whatever Thomas Frank's beaten him 5 times, and it's 5-0 or whatever. It's something like that, isn't it? He'll know that. And to sort of get the better of him, he probably wants a little bit of a spring in his step. He's probably not got it. He's probably not feeling confident himself ahead of this game. And if he's feeling the pressure now and he's feeling everything is upon him, then how is he going to... He probably knows full well that suffer another loss against Brentford, and it's going to become not untenable, but maybe insurmountable. Maybe he hasn't got the fight. Maybe he hasn't got the fight to go through another week on the training ground like that. Because he knows it's difficult for him. Look, I'll upload a video later on, myself and Gio recorded, about Tim Steidten, about Tim Steidten's sort of growing in power and influence. He'll know about that. There'll be a number of things that he knows. He'll know that the fans are not on side. He'll know a lot of things. He'll have noted the radio silence from the board and all that stuff. And that's got to be tough to work within that. And, look, I'm aware that sympathy is going to be in short supply for David Moyes. And I'm not sort of asking for it. I'm just trying to get an insight into his mindset at the moment. And it can't be good and it can't be healthy. And I think when you start talking about family and stuff like that, those are words of a tired man. We've all done it. We've all done it when we've been exhausted and all the rest of it. I want to have a little break from work and I want to do this and I go on holiday and spend some time with the family. Honestly, that's not how you speak when you're fresh and you're motivated and whatever you want to do. You want to sort of crack on and and do well at work. This is not anyway. I'm sort of rambling now, but yeah, just what I thought. Looking at that, I think this is a Dear John letter. I really do. I think this is the long goodbye actually from David Moyes. But I do think the long goodbye is not healthy for the club, and I think he knows it. And as much as he was talking about seeing his contract out, I can't help but think what Moyes is doing is he's paving the way for a far earlier dismissal.